So friends, very good morning all of you. Welcome back. So what are we discussing? We are discussing about internal controls. EMI USA first paper part. In that section E, in section E again there are two parts. First one is internal controls, governance, risk and internal controls. In the previous class we have discussed what are 5 types of controls. A quick revision of these 5 names if you remember. Preventive controls that prevent the frauds, errors, irregularities and mistakes. Second one is detective controls. Third one is corrective controls. Fourth one is directive controls. Fifth one is compensating controls. So that we have discussed with so many examples I have given as well. Today let us discuss about something called 3 dimensions, 3D of internal control framework given by COSO. Do you remember on the first day we have discussed about COSO? COSO is the committee of sponsoring organizations formed by 5 independent professional bodies like AICPA, this IMA, then Institute of Internal Auditors, IIA. So there are 5 institutions, 5 organizations who have joined hands together to develop a framework. This is what we call COSO framework. We have discussed about this COSO in detail. Then COSO has released one framework which contains 17 principles. So what is this? COSO framework. COSO framework has 3 dimensions and it has 17 guiding principles. It has how many? 17 principles. What are the 3 controls? Already we have discussed this much in detail multiple times. In previous class also we have discussed. Before that also we have discussed. So I am not going to spend more time on this 3 dimensions, but I will tell you. First one is components. Second one is objectives. Third one is levels. So this is the answer for what. So if your question is what is internal control, what? If your question is why internal controls, if your question is where internal control. So if your question is what do you mean by internal controls, then you need to read the components. If the question is why internal controls are required, you need to read about the objectives. If your question is where internal controls are required, you need to read the levels, various levels at which internal controls are required. Now all of you look at this diagram. This is a beautiful diagram showing that 3D image. The beautiful diagram showing that 3D image. So this is COSO framework. Can you read this? This is official document of COSO. I have taken it from the net, so credits to them. I have not prepared this. So if you see these 3 dimensions, on the front side, can you see control environment, risk assessment, control activities, information and communication, monitoring activities. Okay, on the second side, the right side to this, can you see entity level, division level, operating unit level, functional level. Above in the another dimension, can you see operations, reporting, compliance. So the above operations, reporting and compliance are the goals of internal control. These 5 items are there on the front side. No, these are the components of internal control, and on the right hand side 4 levels are there. No, they are the levels. So here we have what is internal controls. Internal controls means 5 components. Why internal controls? To achieve 3 goals. Where internal controls are required? In 4 levels of organization. Where internal controls required? At 4 levels of organization. Now these 5 components are there. No, COSO developed 17 principles from these 5 components. Today we are going to see part 1 of what is this 17 principles. Today we are going to see what is this 17 principles. Okay, now let us look here. Control environment. First, let me give you a very brief introduction of what is control environment from our notes. Okay, so look here. Look here. Components of an internal control. The framework comprises 5 fundamental and integrated components of an effective internal control system with 17 principles. In that, what is the first component? Control environment. What is control environment? Read the first para, you'll understand. Control environment means it includes various processes. It includes management philosophy. It includes integrity. It includes ethical values. It includes standards and structure. One second. I don't want to strike this off. So control environment includes processes, management philosophy, integrity, ethical values, standards and structure that provide foundation for carrying out internal control. Board of directors and senior management, that is CEO, are responsible for establishing the tone at the top. So read these 2 points again. Read these 2 points again. So basically, what is it? Simple. It is like if the father is disciplined, the child tends to be disciplined. Isn't it? If the board of directors, CEO of the company, and the top level people are people with integrity, people with honesty, people with values, there are people with commitment, there are people with ethics. Normally, the whole organization tends to be ethical. So simple, if you are working under me, if I'm your boss, if I'm your manager, if I inspire you with my integrity levels and hard working, one fine day you also feel like Pawan sir is such a nice boss with so much of commitment, with so much of value system, a very good morals, ethics. He has grown to this level, so I also want to achieve like this. So that inspiration top level management should give to the remaining employees in the organization. So basically, this is what we call tone, your voice at the top level of the company. So simple, you should not only preach ethics. Summa telling ethics to others will never make your organization ethical. So first try to understand one thing. One of the objectives of internal control system is to prevent frauds. First is preventive controls. Prevent fraud. Pawan sir, how can we prevent fraud? Simple. If the person is a person of integrity, frauds will not happen. Frauds will not happen. So first you need to have integrity in people. Some people, leadership, ethics, integrity, morals, all these things will come in their DNA. For some people, these can be developed also. Leadership skills can be developed. Ethical values can be developed. Moral standards can be developed. For example, if you look at a company like Tata Group, Tata Motors, or any Cisco, TCS, any company in Tata Group, they follow a very high standard of ethics. Similarly, Infosys, this you see Nandan Nilekani, you see Infosys Narayan Murthy. These kind of people, they are known for their ethics and moral values. Even if you see globally, all reputed companies, big people like Bill Gates, or you take Warren Buffett, how much of charities they are doing, how many good works they are doing. So it is not that they just have earned money, it is that they are innovative, creative, humble, very good human beings as well. They are doing a lot of charities also. So the idea behind this control environment is frauds will happen because of wrong mindset, selfishness, greed. Frauds will happen. If I am working in a company, when will I do fraud? You might say, Pawan sir, necessity. Boss, this is 1980 film, okay? In 1980, 1970 films, hero will be there, father will die, mother will be single mother, one chota kid will be there, and this kid is not having milk. What to do? He asks, Anna 1 rupee, my sister needs milk and all, so no one will give. One villain will throw him on the road, and then he will become a thief. He'll become a gunda. He'll become mafia. He starts his journey from stealing one milk packet. All this banana shit, happens only in movies. Okay. In reality, even if you are in that situation, you prefer working hard and you give the milk which you earned to your sister. You will not steal it from someone. So basically, the idea behind control environment is, if people are honest, the number of frauds will come down. If people are honest, number of frauds will come down. That is the reason they are asking, dear top level management, demonstrate values, integrity, inject it in your company. So what they are saying, there are 5 bullet points I have written. 1, the management must demonstrate a commitment to integrity and ethical values. The organization should set a positive tone at the top. Should be communicated at all the levels. Prompt and efficient management of ethical failures. If there is any ethical failure, you should take it very serious. Simple. If you are soft towards ethical failures, one person, see, you have HR policies, for example. You have HR policies like, sexual harassment or wrong practices in workplace. About all these things, you have 20 policies. So in our company, nobody is supposed to do this and all. Imagine one employee deviated and he did ethical failure. He deviated. He misbehaved with a girl. If you are manager, you removed him. You reprimanded him, you removed him, and you booked a police case on him. That's it. In your organization, if 100 people are there, remaining 99 people will never do the mistake, because they know that Pawan sir, who is the top level of the company, will not tolerate ethical failure. He will take it very serious. He will take prompt and efficient action. That is what you should contribute to the company as top level. You should not tolerate these people. Your tolerance level should be 0 towards ethical failures. If a person is not behaving ethically, sack him off. This is 1. 2. The board of directors demonstrate independence from the management and oversight the development and performance of the system. So here they are using 2 words. One is board of directors. Second one is management. Here, board of directors refers to all directors. Among all directors, some will be executive directors, some will be non-executive directors. Who are executive directors? Those who participate in day-to-day activities of a company are called executive directors. Who are non-executive directors? Those who only participate in the planning, but they will not do the work. They only plan the work. They are called non-executive directors. Under executive directors, there will be management. So what is the difference between executive directors and management? Executive director means top level guys, CFO. Under CFO, there will be department. No? In the department, various levels of management will be there. Or for example, if this is board of directors level or top level or director level, under that middle level, under that lower or functional level. So the word management spreads to all the 3 levels. The word management spreads to all the 3 levels. So normally management will be lower to directors. Now in this second point, they are speaking about the directors. Dear directors, exercise independence from the management. So what they are saying, board of directors should exercise independence from the management. That means don't put your finger. Monitor, overseeing how the work is being done is your responsibility. Doing is not your responsibility. If I am director, I should not do. I should ensure that people are doing it. That is the reason in your management, first day you might have studied, management is the art of getting things done by and through others. So in second point, what they are saying is, dear board of directors, demonstrate independence. Be independent of management. Don't have any kind of relationship with management. Don't have bias towards management. And your responsibility is oversight the development and performance of the system of internal controls. That is second point. Third point, management establishes structures, policies, appropriate authorities, and responsibilities. Say, for example, I am marketing manager. I am marketing manager. So, can I say this is management? So, under marketing manager, or say marketing director. Say if I am marketing director, from marketing director, various vice presidents of marketing will be there. Under that, various senior managers will be there. Under that, various junior managers will be there. Under that, various marketing executives will be there. Under that, marketing trainees will be there. Under that, marketing trainees will be there. So this is called department. Now, as a part of management, what you are supposed to do, develop authority structure, responsibility system, lines of controls, and reporting for smooth functioning of the department. So, who's the boss? Who's the subordinate? Who has the authority for what thing? Who has the responsibility for what thing? What is the line of control? What is the way in which this organizational hierarchy is formed? What are various policies? What is reporting structure? Who reports to whom? So what is top-down communication? What is bottom-up communication? All these things, management is responsible to demonstrate. That is what they are saying. Read the third point. Management establishes the structure, organizational structure. Reporting lines, who reports to whom? Authority and responsibility in respect of pursuit of objective. This is third item. 4. The organization demonstrates commitments to attract, develop, and retain competent individuals. What is this? That means if you are manager, here Mr. A is there. So he needs 20 marketing executives. He needs 20 marketing executives. So will he go to his hometown? I am from this hometown. This is my native place. From my native place, I will take people. No, you should not. From my caste, I will take people. From my religion, I will take people. From my region, I will take people. So how recruitment is to be done? Can you recruit people based on caste, color, creed, gender? No, you should recruit people based on talent. Imagine who is Satya Nadella, who is Sundar Pichai in the company. Satya Nadella is CEO of Microsoft. Sundar Pichai is CEO of Google. So the founder, like Bill Gates, after so many years, so many decades, he stepped down as the CEO, and then one new name came. Why his son, his daughter, his wife, his brother, or any of his friends, or any of his family member, any of his close relatives, any of people from his religion, his region, his caste, his color, why no one from his family or no one from his friends become the CEO? Why all of a sudden a person who's not related at all, a new guy's name came onto the picture? Why? All of a sudden a new name came onto the picture. Same thing with Sundar Pichai also. That means they are recruiting talent. They saw who's the most talented person and then they are giving job. So that is what they are saying in point number 4. In point number 4, what they are saying, the organization demonstrates commitment to attract, commitment to develop, retain competent individuals in alignment with objectives of the entity. Then 5, the organization holds the individuals accountable for their internal control responsibilities on pursuit of objectives. So when I recruit my junior, I will tell him that, boss, these are your objectives. These are the controls you need to have. So you develop controls, ensure that objectives are met. That's all. Then components of control environment. 1, tone at the top. Tone at the top. Second one, policies and standards. Third one, segregation of work. Fourth one, internal control policies and procedures in a detailed manner. So read this 4 bullet points. Read these 4 points. We'll discuss all these things, don't worry. Okay, now let us go to the diagram. 3 dimensions diagram. On the left hand side, control environment. So if you observe, these 5 parts are there, no? What are they? This is control environment, this is risk assessment, control activities, then the 4th one is information communication, 5th one is monitoring activities. So let us start with control environment. Okay, so open your notes, write down this control environment, put the heading control environment. Control environment. There are 5 principles under control environment. So put the heading control environment and copy this 1, 2, 3, what is appearing on the board. Copy this. Start writing this in your notes. I'll explain this once you copy. So are you done copying this? Now look at this 5 points. What is this control environment? This is what we have discussed already. Step 1. The organization demonstrates commitment to integrity and ethical values. I have already explained this. One small thing I'll tell you. Tatas, they are into many businesses, isn't it? They are into automobiles, they are into textiles, they are into software, they are into finance. What not? They are into everything. They are into retail, they are into e-commerce. So Tata's practically they are into everything. Okay, iron and steel. But are they into liquor business? Are they into gambling? These are against their ethics, because long time back when they have JRD Tata as the chief, that time itself they have decided that few businesses we will not do. But don't you think if they want to start a brewery, if they want to start manufacturing alcohol, which is very profitable, don't you think they'll get licenses easily in India? If they want, government will give license to them in 1 day. But they are not doing that. So at the top level, you should demonstrate some values. I am not saying manufacturing is wrong. I am not saying consuming is wrong. I am not saying, right or wrong. But what I am saying is it is my policy. I will not do that. My value system, my ethics. I follow what I feel this is right. 2. The board of directors demonstrate independence from the management. And they ensure that the internal controls development and performance by management is appropriate. Then 3. Management establishes with board oversight. Board will supervise. Board of directors will supervise. As part of management, what will I do? I develop reporting lines. A will report to B, B will report to C, C will report to D. I follow functional organizational structure, or I follow strategic business unit organizational structure. I follow network structure. I follow hourglass model. I follow divisional structure. So these are various organizational structures. So what type of organizational structure you want to have? What type of reporting lines you want to develop? What are various authorities and responsibilities of individual? You need to clearly define. 3. 4. The organization demonstrates commitment to develop, attract, retain competent individuals. One excellent HR, principle I'll tell you here. One CEO asked HR, dear HR, we are spending a lot of money. We are spending a lot of money on staff training and development. What if we train them and they leave? This is the question. CEO asked HR, dear HR, we are spending a lot of money on staff training, a lot of money on staff development. What if we train them and they leave the company? It is loss. Then HR replied to CEO, sir, what if we don't train them and they don't leave our company? Then you will work with bunch of idiots, no? You'll work with a bunch of fools. You'll work with bunch of inefficient fellows. If their inefficiency, inability, lack of productivity, lack of enthusiasm and zeal, all these things will kill the company. In first case, you are spending money on staff training. That is actually a kind of investment for you. If you are training your staff, that is kind of investment for you. They will work more, they will work better, they will be more efficient and effective, and they will be more productive. Your quality will improve, your sales will improve, your revenue will improve, your profits will improve, your earnings per share, your dividend per share, reserves, everything will improve. But what if you do not train them and they do not leave your organization? Inefficient worker never resigns. Seriously, only efficient worker resigns. Always, you see the history, efficient people will leave the organization more than inefficient people, because if you are inefficient, if you are earning 25,000 rupees salary, you will have a doubt, what if I do not get employment outside? So inefficient people usually won't leave, efficient people leave. That is the big problem. So what is this? The organization should demonstrate commitment to attract talent. Attract talent. So you should attract, you should develop, you should retain competent individuals. Competent, underline competency means the ability to work. Competency is the ability to work. Then fifth one is the organization holds individuals accountable for their internal control responsibilities. So if you are an individual, say you are one store manager, how to control the store activities you should know. If you do not know, how come you are a store manager? You have 10 marketing executives under you. You are a marketing manager. You should know how to develop policies, how to control them. Now imagine one marketing executive came and he said that, Chumma sir, I went there, I did this work, I went here, I did this work, all these things happened, sir. Petrol bill, sir, 500 rupees. Before sanctioning that 500 rupees of petrol bill, you should assess whether that guy is speaking truth or whether he is lying. Whether he really went to so and so places to do the work, marketing work or no. You should assess how much of money I am paying, how much of business he is generating, how much of profit I am getting. So if you cannot develop controls on this traveling bills and all, people will eat money like anything. At the end of the day, objectives will not be achieved. So fifth point says, the organization holds individuals accountable for their internal control responsibilities in pursuit of objective. So this is about control environment. Now we are going to second part, risk assessment. So put the heading in your notes, risk assessment. So in CASO framework, there is something called ERM, Enterprise Risk Management. There is something called Enterprise Risk Management. So now basically, what is risk? Basically, what is risk? In simple terms, write down in notes, in simple terms, risk is the uncertainty and variability in the expected returns or expected outcome or in achieving objectives. Point number one. Point number two. Point number two. What is point number two? Transactions and events that affect the ability of an organization to achieve the goals. Transactions and events that affect the ability of an organization to achieve the goals will cause the risk to the company. Three, usually organization will draft various short-term and long-term goals. Also, various strategic, operational and financial objectives. Strategic, operational and financial objectives. If you want, you can add compliance objectives also here. Strategic, operational, financial, compliance objectives. So this is my objective. Any event that disturbs my objective is risk. Any event that disturbs my objective is risk. For example, we have a factory. We are sitting on 21/2/2021. This is the date today, correct? So our target is in March 2021, we plan to manufacture 5 lakh units of product A in our Bangalore factory. This is my operational objective. So this is my estimation. I want to achieve this. So what is that? In March 2021, we plan manufacturing 5 lakh units of product A in our Bangalore factory. Just for small example. Now, what are the transactions and events which can disturb this? In extreme cases, fire accident, machinery breakdown, lack of materials and labor force, electricity shortage, etc. So these are risks. So COSO framework says, dear Pawan, if you are running factory, you should be smart enough to identify risk, to assess risk and to manage risk. So what they are saying? Identify, assess, manage. You should be able to manage all these things. Pawan sir, how can I manage fire accident? Insurance. Take insurance. Machinery breakdown. Take annual maintenance contract. Lack of material and labor. Enter into contracts with suppliers of materials and suppliers of labor with penalty clauses. If you do not supply quality materials to me by so and so date, you need to pay this penalty. Electricity shortage. Have one diesel generator set. Have one backup. If power is not there, you generate your own power. Big companies, they'll have their power generation plants as well. If it is household, you buy one inverter, you buy one backup UPS. So these are risks. Every risk can be assessed and every risk can be managed. Every risk can be assessed and every risk can be managed. So this is what they are saying. This is what they are saying. What is the impact of this risk? Is it severe? Is it low? Is it outsourceable? Can I transfer my risk to some other person? For example, earthquake is a risk. fire accident is a risk or theft is a risk, I will take insurance. This is how I manage the risk, how I mitigate the risk, how I find some solution to risky situations. This is the meaning of risk. And Pawan sir, you said transactions and events that disturb one. Second thing you said, variability. Sir, what is this variability? Let me give you a small example. You invested 1 crore rupees in SBI fixed deposit at 5% interest per annum. You invested in equity shares of Infosys. This is option 1, this is option 2. Now you tell me, in which option risk is more? Guys, I am waiting for your answer. You tell me, in which option risk is more? Obviously, situation 2 is more riskier, isn't it? They are equity shares. So now you look here, returns, risk. So here risk is low, here risk is high. Why risk is high? Simple. When I deposit money in SBI, I know that I will get 5 lakh rupees of interest at the end of the year, because 1 crore is the investment, 5% is the return guaranteed, promised. 5% SBI promised me. They wrote in the contract. Fixed deposit receipt is a kind of contract. They have given it in writing. Pawan will give you 5% interest. That means I will get 5 lakhs. Definitely I'll get 5 lakhs. No default will be there, because it is legal, contractual. What if I put money in Infosys? Is there any contract? No. Uncertain returns. So returns can be high. Maybe at the end of the year you earned 20% return on investment at the end of the year, but still it is too risky. Why risky? Because imagine if the market price of Infosys falls in stock market, your 1 crore can become 90 lakhs, your 1 crore can become 80 lakhs, your 1 crore can become 50 lakhs, who knows. In case of fraud or any wrong thing reported in Infosys, sometimes, God forbid, it can be zero also. So here returns is less, risk is less. So this is less risk, less return. This is high risk, high return. Now what will you do? If you ask a retired government employee, or if you ask your father, Dad, you have 1 crore rupees now, what will you do? He might prefer putting money in State Bank of India, because he is a conservative guy, he has a family. But if you tomorrow you earn 1 crore rupees, you want to invest it somewhere, trust me, definitely you will not put it in State Bank of India. Definitely you will put it in equity shares of the companies, because you want to earn more money. You have a probability of earning, you have a probability of losing. That is a different story. But you prefer earning more money in stock markets. So enterprise risk management says, dear company, before doing any investment, before making any decision, assess the risk. Don't be too blind. If you are blind, you will lose money. When you lose money, shareholders will lose money. This is risk assessment and risk management. So I've given so many examples. Now look here, risk assessment. Risk assessment, sixth point. Up to 5 points, it is in control environment. From sixth point, 4 points are under risk assessment. What are that 4 points? 1. The organization specifies objectives with sufficient clarity. First, develop objective. If you do not know what is your objective, how will you know what is the risk in it? The organization specifies objectives with sufficient clarity to enable the identification and assessment of risk relating to objective. So step 1, define your objective in very clear term. Then step 2, identify and assess risk. What is this? Identification and assessment. Identify risk, assess risk. 7. The organization identifies risk to the achievement of its objectives across the entity and analyzes risk as a basis for determining how the risk should be managed. When you identify risk, when you analyze risk, then you understand, can I do something to minimize risk? Can I eliminate risk? Can I avoid risk? Can I protect myself? Can I do hedging, or can I go and take one insurance policy? How can I manage the risk is second point. First point is identify and assess. Second point is analyze and manage. First step, identify, assess the magnitude. Second point is analyze, try to understand and manage. 3. The organization considers potential for fraud in assessing the risk to achievement of objectives. So simple, a fraud happens in the company, market reputation comes down, market capitalization comes down, market price of the share comes down, no person wants to deal with you if the frauds are reported, and your all objectives will be broken, will be just the whole organization crumbles down. So you will not be able to achieve your objectives. Imagine your objective is to become so and so big company. If frauds are happening, how can you reach your objective? So they are saying the organization considers potential for fraud. Is there a possibility of fraud? All the types of frauds should be prevented. That is what we studied in prevention. But at the end of the day, being realistic says I cannot prevent all the kinds of fraud, but I should put efforts. That is 8th point. 9. The organization identifies, assesses changes that could significantly affect the system of internal control. So you should develop a system of internal control which will strongly identifies and stops frauds. For example, consumer fraud. One customer comes, takes the delivery of item, without paying he will go away. Stealing, pilferages, theft, embezzlement. Cashier, in case of a bank, cashier will have crores of rupees in his hand. Do you think he can misappropriate 100 rupees? 1 crore rupees are there here in my hand. 2 crore rupees, 5 crore rupees are there. Can I take 100 rupees into my pocket? No, I'll be arrested. There are reconciliations, strict reconciliations, CCTV cameras. You should not. So this is second aspect, risk assessment. Third aspect is control activity. This control activity we'll see in the next session. Okay, so you understand this control environment and risk assessment. Any doubts up to this, whatever we have discussed? If you have doubts, ask me. If you do not have doubts, we'll call it the day, and in the next class, I think tomorrow or day after tomorrow, we'll have one more class. Then we'll see the remaining 3 activities.